The Rotary Club of Picton is showcasing today the two properties privately owned. They have beautiful waterfalls. The reason we're doing this as Rotarians is to bring to light the fact that in the world there are 1.1 billion people who do not have access to clean water anywhere, and that 80% of all disease that these people face is predominantly caused from that reality. And so if people enjoy the tour today, we're asking them to make a donation, and that's how it will be used to specifically build wells in Africa.
This year we're featuring two falls. One of them is Jackson's Falls, which is on County Road 17 between Milford and Black Creek. The other falls is at Cape Vesey, just past Wapoose on County Road 8. It's just a wonderful opportunity for people who have guests, or sometimes people who've lived in the county all their lives and never seen these falls, because they're both on private property. And the landowners are very generous in allowing us to invite the public in on their property.
There's a lot of fish here, white suckers that come in from the lake to spawn. Until you look close, they're hard to see, but the whole area will be black with them. You can see them moving. You also see the fins come above the water. Or if you step in the water, they'll move. I think there's so many eggs that the survival rate doesn't have to be very high in order to be a lot of fingerlings again from them.
Somebody said they called their young fry, and that's how we got that that saying, you know, when you call kids young fry, it came from the sucker.
At the end of the day, we're all guests on this planet for a given period of time, and during that portion of our lives where we might own something will really only be somewhat temporary in that respect. So even though it wouldn't be appropriate for people just to stop and march through their property any other time, I think they just get an absolute pleasure out of sharing their beautiful property with the rest of us.
People just like to get out, especially when the birds start tweeting and the suckers are running. It's fun to see.
Volunteers are the greatest people in the world.
Right, and then three 2x6s nailed together, but keep the 2x6s flush on the inside.
They take the hammer and the saw out of my hands.
Get your pass load, or we're going to hold this all day.
The community tends to get behind the project very well. It's sort of their baby. I know when we were doing builds in Belleville, we tend to get the same little old crew of volunteers out all the time. But when you do something in Picton, you draw in a lot more people who become interested because they see it happening in their own community.
Yeah, they put a land right. The 2x4s came from a golf tournament, and we sold the 2x4s somewhere between $10 and $20, some $15. And so these people paid for these 2x4s and then made a contribution with these 2x4s back to this Habitat home. So these 2x4s are going to go into the walls. Some of these walls will stay exposed for a little while downstairs, whereas they won't get covered, so the 2x4s can be seen. Come on, Bob.
This is the 9th year we've had maple in the county. It all started way back 9 years ago when Dan Taylor and Ron Hubbs got all the maple syrup producers together. And nowadays we got other organizations and things, you know, it's all to do with maple, of course. And that's why it's called Maple in the County. I got about 1,000 taps out there, and the rule of thumb is that if I had a real good year, I should get a liter per tap. Once we tap the trees, we gather the sap down there in the lowest part of the bush, I pump it over here to this tank here, which gravity feeds into the evaporator. We have to take 40 gallons of water out of the sap before you get a gallon of syrup. So it works its way back and forth through this evaporator. There's where you get your finished product in the last pan there. This is a wood-fired evaporator, and it's about the old-fashioned way you're going to see it done anymore. I get it going for 12 hours, I can maybe make 60 liters of syrup. Them guys with the big outfits can make that much in an hour. All your newer ones have steam hoods and closed in. Most of them are oil-fired. And the other thing they do is use the reverse osmosis, which takes 60 to 70% of the water out before they even fire it. So it makes syrup quite a lot faster than I do. I only did about 4 or 5 days. It was good right on the start. And then the weather turned warm as everybody went on March break, and I might better went on March break with them. When I came down here this morning, it was too cold, so I got a tank of water. That's water in there. We're boiling water today because the sap didn't run today because it didn't go warm enough. It went cold enough last night, but not warm enough today. I put some water in here to give everybody an idea of what's going on. All it's costing me today is a little bit of wood. I have a chainsaw and I cut my own wood. So that's the whole drift of this idea, is to, have a hobby and have fun doing it. I got involved in it, and then once you get involved in it, it gets in your blood and you just can't quit. Nobody really knows unless I tell them I told.
In 1997 or 98, I decided I wanted to try and grow popcorn, and it worked quite well for 2 or 3 years. We buy all the supplies now, but we still have some of the equipment from the original investment, and we bring it out for special occasions. We use soy oil because it's the least expensive, most readily available, and we grow soybeans. So it's a possibility that some of my soybeans are in the oil. Propane fired, and the burner is a burner from a hot air balloon. Throw in a few test kernels, wait for them to pop, lets you know the oil's hot enough. It takes a few minutes to get things warmed up, but once it gets started, it moves right along quickly. This is a homemade canoe paddle. We couldn't find anything in the kitchen supply store that was quite big enough. There's a little bit of moisture trapped inside the white part of the kernel. And as that little bit of moisture turns to steam, that folds the kernel inside out. That's a scoop of sugar, which will caramelize, hopefully. When they open some of the Pharaoh's tombs in Egypt, they find popcorn in urns around the tomb. So somebody a long time ago figured this out. Ready for syrup? Yep, you just start pouring some syrup on. You can easily burn the syrup, that's why it goes on last. And we use a little bit of sugar to create the texture. To make maple candy or maple butter, you heat it very slowly. It generally takes over an hour to heat syrup to make candy, whereas we're making it in a minute. So you can easily burn the syrup, that's why it goes on last. Don't burn it. That's the secret to Kettlecorn.
I'm a self-appointed trash basher. It's just about a half kilometer from my house to some of these other shoreline houses, and then back.
As you can see, our back roads are pretty good for beer bottles. We come out here every year and try to clean up our road anyway, so do our little bit to help. I think we've probably been doing this road for 5 years now. It's not his name. We found mostly bottles and cans.
A whiskey bottle just a moment ago.
Vehicle parts.
Empty cigarette packs.
Little sheets of plastic, big sheets of plastic.
Coffee cups.
Boxes of full ammo.
We haven't been getting the strange things like we've found in the past. So not as many people actually throwing garbage bags on the side of the road down here.
We're just trying to get that message through to people that, you know, there is an alternative to driving out and throwing it out your window.
Go down there.
Oh, I see.
This year we're up to 600 kilometers that have been registered and 600 people. By Monday morning I should have a total number, and usually we average around 800 people. For every person that throws something in the ditch, I've got at least 2 people going behind them and cleaning it up. The bags of kits that we give out to people have 3 pairs of gloves, garbage bags, clear bags for recycling. We drop those off at about 5 different locations. Monica Ellier is my hero. Gets her ward cleaned every single year. 100% all the roads are done. The Canada Waste Management Group, they provide us with all the garbage trucks you see in the back. They do major routes in the county. They drive all over. They help pick up people's garbage that's set there, and people that come for the barbecue bring their garbage, and these guys take it, no questions asked. There's no billing to the Round Table or Trash Bash or the county. Scott has been our barbecue guy for 18 years now.
There, thank you.
Paul Weber from Manco. He's got the hand washing stuff. Paul shows up every year, and people can come wash your hands before you have a burger. S-Rock really comes through for us. They supply all of the gloves. Habitat for Humanity comes out, and people actually ask me if they can collect cans for Habitat. And then we've got Scott Environmental on board.
Our portion of it is collecting all the electronic waste that's now the big new thing to avoid: computers, TVs, VCRs, DVDs, and people cleaning that up always didn't know what to do with it. And the big thing with Scott Environmental is diverting from landfills. What we can't handle in our plants, we can recycle it from there, and there's other companies that we partner with to move it out and break it down, and a lot of the electronic equipment is recycled. It's just doing the right thing. We rely on the community to use our employees for different services when it's needed, and the community should be able to rely on us to give back.
If you're going to express your citizenship, you can do it by voting, but you can do it by volunteering as well.
If people want to get involved, they can go to our website, www.trashbash.ca. Garbage! It's a community effort, and it really brings your faith in mankind back together, and I'm so happy that they actually like getting in the ditches and getting dirty and cleaning. I'm amazed. To me, it's almost a staple of the county now for 18 years.
They make you for or against it. They make you into a pawn.
We know what's happening in this province is wrong. We know the Green Energy Act took away our rights. We know this industry is threatening the health of many, that there are many who are harmed and have no recourse. And we're here to say that has to stop.
This is the beginning of something really, really, really big. And we're here to tell them we ain't quitting, we're here for good, and we're not going away.
And Mr. McGinty, we're going to fight you.
Health studies first. Health studies first.
This is a demonstration by the citizens of Ontario to express their great displeasure with the invasion of rural Ontario with industrial wind turbines, and with all the things that involves. It involves a loss of human rights. The rights have been taken away from our municipal government to say what can be done in our own community. It's all been legislated by Queen's Park, and it's just not right. We've all gone to our MPPs and gotten nowhere. Our municipal government has gone to the provincial government and gotten nowhere.
Being a municipal councillor, I'm of the belief that that is the last bastion of democracy. We send good people to Toronto or to Ottawa, and they're told how they're going to vote on issues. If you want to become a cabinet minister, you do what you're told, and if you want to be a backbencher, you react properly for your people.
What it reminds me of is in the Old West, when a sheriff would apprehend someone, he'd take him in and he'd say, "Now hang him." And a protest would say, well, doesn't the man have a right to a fair trial? And the sheriff would say, all right, give him a fair trial and then hang him. Because that is exactly what that consultation process is all about. They're going to go to your municipalities, they're going to meet with some folks, and they're going to leave and say, well, we're going to do whatever we decided we were going to do in the first place.
The moratorium is what we're all waiting for. We cannot let the wind industry dictate our lives and our future. It's not going to happen.
There's a large part of rural Ontario that cares about democracy and rural rights, and help support the motions on the floor today to demand a moratorium on the further construction of wind turbines until a full health study is done.
The Government of Ontario chose to put in place regulations that, amongst many other things, establish a 550-meter setback or separation distance between industrial wind turbines and humans, places where people live. Where did that number come from? Nobody appears to have a credible answer to that question.
We have victims from all across the country, internationally. These people are real. I've met many of them. I look in their eyes and I know they're suffering, and my heart goes out to these people. But the thing I can tolerate least is the steadfast denial by our government as to the reality of these complaints.
To be told by the health minister that my symptoms are not real is very tough to hear. First of all, I was going to be a victim. Let Enbridge just take her home and let's just go. You know, me and my husband fought. We never fight. We said, no, we're going to stay and we're going to fight. So here we are. I'm staying and we're fighting.
Well, Mr. Toogood, come on out here and I will introduce you personally to credible health effects.
When Ian, Hannah, and people from across Prince Edward County, where Ian lives, and people from across Ontario came and said, what can we do about this? We said that the legal system is one of the options that is open for people in this province, so people have not been asleep at the switch.
That's what we are. And PEC means Prince Edward County.
How many times must a person protest before someone hears what they say?
I live by values. They matter a lot to me. And the value of social justice is one of the most important. And the value of health equity is one of the most important. Both those values have been horribly crushed by this Green Energy Act.
If nothing else, the legal case against the Minister of Environment and the Ontario government was well publicized today. I know there were significant funds collected. That will certainly help in the legal challenge. It may spring additional legal challenges, and the party certainly knows that there's a large part of rural Ontario that cares about democracy and rural rights.
I want to hear ya. The answer, my friends, not blowing in the wind. No, the answer's not blowing in the wind. Hey, you did pretty good there.
The Prince Edward Point Bird Observatory is part of the Canadian Migration Monitoring Network. And what we do here is we band birds in the spring and the fall during times of migration. And all of the data that we gather here is put together with all of the data that's gathered all over Canada in the other stations. Then we can see trends and we can see what's happening in the bird world, and that also tells us what's happening in the natural world. They really are canaries in the coal mine. The birds, when they're crossing water, want to get to make the shortest trip they can across the water. So with Prince Edward County sticking out there, I mean, we just attract the birds as they're coming across. So this is their first landing spot in Canada. Hundreds of thousands of birds come through here in migration. Petbo is totally run by volunteers. We have one paid employee, and that's David O'Kines, who is our bander in charge, and he's licensed to do that.
What we're doing is migration monitoring. We'll catch some birds to see what birds are coming through, and these will all be entered into a log sheet, and that data will then be sent off for analysis by somebody else to see how the species is doing. They'll look at species trends to see whether the species is coming up or going down. If it's going up, that's to the good. If it's going down, then there's a problem with the nature somewhere, and we've got to figure out why in order to help the species come back up.
A lot of the birds that migrate through Prince Edward County to the boreal forest are declining in numbers. Probably they're finding that their nesting places in the boreal forest, there isn't as much room for them there. And also in the wintertime they go to Central and South America, and there's been quite a bit of deforestation in that area too. So on both ends of their migration pathway, they're under pressure.
So here we've got a white-throated sparrow. A lot of the time the birds, when they've gone into the net, they're just laying there so you can take them out nice and easy. So this is a nice light phase male. They're very white on top, and this big yellow patch is the diagnostic features on this species. We'll probably catch 200 of these every spring. To be trained for bird banding, you have to go and visit somebody who's a licensed bander. Depending on the person, it could be anywhere from like a year to 2 years. But they have to go through this long process to be able to do everything perfectly without any harm or injuries to the birds. Now it's just a case of taking it off of his head, the netting off of his head, and then getting it off of this one wing. They're well known for getting tangled. They go in, they spin, they grab hold and they spin again, so you can't find the hole where they've gone in. Our first thing is that the health and safety of the bird comes first. So we're looking at the bird to make sure there's nothing wrong with it. Anything we do is we try to do everything as quick as possible in order to cause as little impact on the bird as we can. Perfect. Here we go, mate. By the end of the month, we'll have seen close to like 30 species of warbler. There's swallows breeding here. On the lighthouse on the other side, there's cliff swallows. There's about 100 pairs of those on there. Offshore, there's a load of ducks, but they're not actually breeding here, so most of those are going to be going through. Orioles, there's about 10 pairs of orioles here. It's a good spot to be. It's a female cardinal, and for some reason they always squeal whenever they get caught or somebody approaches them. This one we actually banded last year. This is one of the species that have a really hard bite. They won't draw blood, but they will leave bill marks in you. So this bird's a female because the males have the bright red all the way down the body with the black mask. The female just has a small piece on the top, and they have the red wings and tails. We open the nets in the morning. We are checking the nets about every 20 minutes to half an hour. That way the birds are in there for a shorter period of time. We then bring them back and we process them as quick as we can to get them back out there, so that way they can continue to feed. This is a yellow warbler. It's the only warbler that's completely yellow below and above. It's also the only one with the yellow in the tail. All the other ones have white in the tail. The band just goes on and closes, and then that way when it's done is a nice seal on the band, and the band goes round and round and moves up and down the leg without hindering the bird at all. The weight of the band is sort of equivalent to a wristwatch. They're very light, they're made of aluminum. We have 29 different sizes of band we commonly use. So this is a size 0 band, which goes on the yellow warbler. We have these small containers for weighing the bird in. In order to release them, we just lift the cap off the front and up, it's gone.
This segment of CountyLive is brought to you by Bream Whisker Paste, now in the bright orange tube.
We start our programme on about the 10th of April, which is when the first migrants are starting to come through. We finish at the end of May, just as the last few birds are coming through, the last few flycatchers. And then we'll start again on the 10th of August, which is the start of the fall migration season. And then we'll run through till the end of October. Also in October, we're starting around the beginning of October, we'll be catching owls at night. This is the hot spot in Canada for northern saw owls, which are a cute little owl about that size, and we'll have more birds, saw owls go through than anywhere else in North America.
People are finding out about Prince Edward County and what a good place it is to come and bird. And so instead of driving all the way to Point Pelee or to Long Point on Lake Erie, they come here. It's closer for them, and we have just as many or more birds to see here.
If the weather conditions are right and it's not too cold or anything like that, we'll have up to 1,500 visitors come down and visit us.
Anyway, we'll go in and see what's there. And
This is the birding festival. This week we are kind of open house here at the Point, and so we have special events going on. We have walks every morning, and in the weekends we have walks in the evening as well. Oh, it is a parula.
Is it a female?
That's a good one, good spotting, whoever spotted it. That's great. We saw northern parulas, yellow warblers, black-throated green warblers, all those beautiful, small, brightly colored birds. We saw rose-breasted grosbeaks, scarlet tanager, lots of orioles. We saw lots of water birds as well. Red-breasted mergansers, some common mergansers. The female's quite brown on the head, and the male is green, and you can see the sort of mottily rusty color on the breast.
The whole area is a national wildlife area. Everybody is free to come down, willing to walk around anywhere they like. If I'm around, feel free to ask me what's around, and I'll tell people where to go look for certain species, and everybody is more than welcome to come down and to help them to appreciate nature in the county. I urge people to get out in the countryside more, get away from your computers, get out into the countryside and see the birds.
Welcome everyone to our first Prince Edward County Relay for Life. What an amazing event it's going to be. All right.
Relay for Life is the largest fundraiser for cancer research in the world. We have 59 teams registered here tonight, which is awesome. It's way beyond any expectations we had. We actually probably doubled our expectations. Our motto is we celebrate, we remember, and we fight back.
1, 2, 3.
Every Relay for Life has a survivor victory lap, and we celebrate that they've survived cancer, whether they've survived 1 day or 50 years. That is our living proof, our walking proof that cancer can be beaten.
I want to say to all of those who are wearing yellow shirts this evening, you are our inspiration. And often in battle, people can lose hope. But when we look out and we see the sea of yellow shirts, you are our reason to have hope.
It was on April 23rd, 2004, when my life was turned upside down. I was diagnosed with stage 4 Burkitt's lymphoma only a month before my summer vacation.
I love that it's in the county this year, and I'm so proud to be part of the very first one. And you walk around and you know everybody here, and it's just so great to have it right in the county, so it's amazing.
I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I've been 1 month cancer-free.
Christina had thyroid cancer. I've had cervical and breast cancer. Well, our team is huge. We do have 11 registered team members, but we have extras that have come in to support us tonight. Mostly they're inches, so that's why it's called Inch by Inch. Inch by inch.
Our good friend has a brain tumor and hasn't got much longer to be with us. 10 of us are walking with her as a team member, but there's probably 20 of us on our campsite. Yeah. That's why we're here tonight.
We may be from the county, but we're not Hicks. We go by the name of the Black Creek Chicks. Woo!
We are standing, we've only just begun. The road may be difficult, together we'll be strong. We are standing.
at 10 o'clock, we're going to have our luminary ceremony where all these white bags that are lined around the track, these are all purchased either in honor or in memory of somebody that's had cancer. They're purchased for $5. It's one of the revenue sources for Relay for Life, and it's a very moving ceremony. It's a great time to remember those that haven't been as fortunate to participate in the Survivor Lap because they passed away, and it's also an awesome way to honor somebody that's had the disease. We want people to fight back 365 days a year. I want to make sure that everybody's having a good time. You know, the ultimate goal here is that everybody leaves happy, empowered, and wanting to fight back tomorrow.
Happy Canada Day to everybody. I hope you all have a great time.
I think I enjoyed the crowds. Just seeing everybody out in there. Red and white, it was really a patriotic feeling.
I think seeing all the families out together, enjoying this up themselves.
Well, obviously, selling cotton candy and snow cones for the pirates, making the kids happy.
Eating the food, of course.
Every year I love coming down here for the fireworks.
The games down here at the park and the music all around here and the hot dog celebration here we have going today.
1, 2, 3,
I think we show our pride, you know, pretty regularly, but it's an extra special day to really show that Canadian pride.
It doesn't matter what race you are, what country you're from. From you live in Canada, it's Happy Canada Day.
Happy Canada Day! Woo! God keep our land.
What's the best part of being Canadian? I don't know, eh?
Knowing that I lived in a good society.
It's safe. We get to do what we please, and we're a very lucky country because there's no wars and we get peace here.
Freedom.
The best part of living in Canada is the other Canadians.
We're in Picton, Ontario, sitting in the skateboard park. In Picton, there's not a lot to do. There wouldn't be much to do without this park, really, except skateboard uptown and get in trouble by the police. Some kids come around, they don't skateboard, they just kind of hang around, like to push you around, I guess. One kid actually stole my board.
It's not very good. There's no ramps barely. There's only like 3 or 4 and they're all pretty bad.
There's a quarter pipe, a fun box, a bank, and a rail. Not too much. It's not fun to use.
We're at our brand new skate park. It's opening Sunday, the 18th. I'm so excited.
In 2004 or so, we had been putting all kinds of effort into building wooden ramps to go behind the arena. And it was just me and a bunch of teenagers hanging out, having fun, doing what we knew best. It turned out that the county and the OPP had gathered together and had recognized some of the excitement around skateboarding and BMX biking here in the county, and were wanting to take things to the next level. So they proposed to us that if there was enough interest from the youth who were willing to do the work, that they would help us to build something more permanent, more safe, and more exciting. I believe that we were first thinking that maybe $150,000 would be all we would need to build the skate park. And then it became apparent that the construction prices were rising. It looked like we were going to be spending closer to $300,000, and then it looked like more like $600,000. And as we were working with council, it became apparent that having a playground and a clubhouse would be also the keys to the success of the skate park. This was all on the shoulders, for the most part, of a whole bunch of teenagers who they knew how to raise money by doing dances and competitions and concerts, which were great, but we rarely raised more than $1,000 at each of these functions. Fortunately for us, there were some fantastic council members who jumped on board, made connections with business people and people who knew how to fill out grant applications. Hundreds and hundreds of people have been involved in the project. The park ended up being so much better than I even imagined it would be, and I just can't wait to get out on there and just figure out how to use it. This is the Pac-Man element. It's a manual pad for all intents and purposes, but it's got a special feature. It rotates. It throws a whole nother element into doing your manual on this. I'm curious to see how people do with it because I think it's going to be really hard to skate. A lot of people ask me what a pole jam is. This is something that happened in the streets. They usually have a pole in the ground to protect something that's behind it. And trucks usually bump into them and put them on a 45-degree angle. Skateboarders found them and said, hey, I can grind up these things. Well, we decided, well, why don't we put one of these into our skate park? Intentionally put it in on a 45-degree angle so that the skaters can grind up it and do their stuff. This is the bowl element of the park. It's got spines, hips. It's got a roller in the middle, volcano roller. You can just ride forever in it, really. What's really cool though is just that it's got so many different angles and turns on it that it doesn't have to be big and scary. It's going to be fun just the way it is. There are a number of teens in this community who are desperately looking for something to do. There are not a lot of activities for, say, low-income families that are right within their reach. Not everyone has a car. Not everyone can get to the Sandbanks or get to Belleville. So we want to have something that the teens can feel proud of, the teens can use, not have to spend a lot of money and not have to travel to use it.
It's awesome. We haven't really had a good park ever. We'd always have to travel to Belleville, and this one's going to be the best in Ontario, so we're super excited to actually have a park that we can ride any day we want.
I used to skateboard, but no, I'm thinking of starting up again now that they made the park. It's awesome. It's amazing. Everybody loves it.
This segment of County Live is brought to you by Bream Whisker Paste, now in the bright orange tube.
We're at the County Youth Park.
It's awesome. We haven't really had a good park, and this one's going to be the best in Ontario.
I just can't wait to get out on there and just figure out how to use it. This is day one. We finally opened it up to the public, and looks like people like it.
It's going to be a sick demo today. As you can tell, this is an amazing park.
The new skateboard park is the bomb. Yeah.
Considering how small the town is, they definitely have a nice park.
The bowl is sick. The park has some features that I've never seen before, like little banks, little teepee thingies. It's really fun.
Best thing about the bowl is everything.
And I'll definitely travel here lots to skate and bring people all the time.
I've been watching the demos, the pros skate. It's awesome. I've been watching people land awesome tricks all day. I really want to practice the bowl more.
This is more than I thought there would be. It's so much better than I thought it would be. So many more people here. It's awesome.
All right, ready for this one?
I'll be here every day, pretty much. It's gonna be awesome.
From now on, the park is open. Take care of it. It's yours for a long time. Enjoy it.
I really want to thank Andrew and Kay for making this all happen. Thanks, Andrew! Thanks, Andrew! Thanks, Andrew!
I heard a few days ago that this building was going to be taken down, so I'm just here today to photograph it using the Pulpic system before it does get taken down. But also I thought it would be an opportunity for people that care about it, and it's been clear over the past week or so that a lot of people do really care about this building, to give them an opportunity to be part of probably one of the last photographs that's ever taken of this building. I just think it's a real shame. It's an old building, it's been here for many generations, and we keep being told that our heritage is a real big part of our future, and it seems that every year more and more buildings from Picton and the surrounding area get taken down.
I just wanted to come down today to show my support. Picton is a historical town. It's a big reason people come here, and we've lost a lot of the history in the past.
I'm very sad to see that our neighbor going to be demolished, and I'm very sorry that people here don't treasure the old buildings.
A monument on Picton's main street that is identifiable by every visitor here will disappear and be replaced is crazy. Whether it's a church or not, this is architecture, this is something that defines us, and when this disappears, nothing's going to define us differently than any other rural community that's been destroyed in the name of progress. If Picton actually gets its eyes open, this is progress in saving this building.
You tear down the church, what's next? Could it be the Royal? Could it be the Regent? I mean, there's a lot of old buildings in Picton that need a lot of work, and if we decide to sacrifice the architecture of the community for commercial reasons, what are we going to be left with? Will it just be a street of Walmart?
Do I need a Starbucks or a Walmart or any of that in Picton? I do not need that. Is it going to attract tourists? Hell no, it's not.
We've seen the building. It obviously does need some work, but I think heritage investment is something that the municipality should be making a priority.
People come to Picton because it's an authentic rural town, and we want to experience authentic rural buildings. We don't necessarily just want to see the same buildings that are in every other town, and churches and stores and hotels. They all give Picton its unique character, and I certainly want to see that character remain.
Once this disappears, we'll be manufacturing fake buildings like this to attract people to come here.
What the Bakes have done with the vacant lots that were down the street is wonderful. They've built a building that is very in keeping with the town, and they've made it a beautiful place. But this was a beautiful place, and it's too bad that somebody couldn't have found a use for it.
I'm pretty pessimistic about the chances of it being saved, but hopefully if we interest enough people, there'll be a more vigilant group in the community that will pay attention to this sort of thing happening.
I think it may be too late for this one, but I hope that it won't be too late for others. And I think the fact that people have come out to demonstrate that they're upset is good, because hopefully people will understand that we do care about them.
Secretly, I think it can be saved. I think that if people really care enough about what's important here, and it's not about having big box stores here and new money here and stuff like that, if people realize the reason why people visit and why people love coming here and living here is because we have buildings like this exist, then I think it can be saved. I think it's going to be people like being aware really fast and actually putting their names and their hearts behind this building.
3, 2, 1.
Churches and stores and hotels, they all give Picton its unique character, and I certainly want to see that character remain.
You tear down the church, what's next? Could it be the Royal? Could it be the Regent?
Once this disappears, we'll be manufacturing fake buildings like this to attract people to come here.
There you go, Brenda. Here you go.
Wow.
Have they stopped?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
It seems to be like they're breaking a number of regulations and they got called out on it.
I just arrived at my office a few minutes ago to see that half the sidewall is gone from the church. And it's very shocking to think that they did it on a Sunday, and they did it without proper hoarding, and they did it in a very unprofessional way. This church deserved more dignity than that.
We pulled onto Main Street from Lake Street, and there was all this dust and smoke and stuff blowing across the road, and we pulled up, and there was a crowd of people standing here, and that big contraption in the back was clawing away at the side of the church, and the bricks were all just falling down and making a big mess. I felt devastated. I knew that it was going to happen, of course, because I heard about the permit being applied. I would have thought it would have taken a lot longer to put something through on a building of that nature. I mean, it's been there forever, as long as I've ever known.
I feel like crying, and I am crying. It's horrible. I think it's horrible.
I tell you how it feels. It feels like, let's knock a wall off, and then there's nowhere to go but bring the whole building down. And so no matter how loud the protest does form over this, it's too late now because we've already taken out a load-bearing wall. It stinks of something.
So that's great that it's going to be left like that.
Well, yeah, this is even worse, And there's no barricades here.
And there's a lack of signage up, specifically prohibiting folks from entering near that property. I certainly wouldn't walk close to it.
The steeple could fall over on the road, I suppose. It's dangerous. There's nothing here to stop kids from wandering around in the rubble and getting hurt. Like, that just doesn't make any sense at all to me.
They were supposed to save the bricks, I understood, and it seems like a rather careless way to take it down if the bricks were meant to be saved. There's still stuff there that looks that they didn't salvage a lot from the inside.
We've destroyed the infrastructure of the downtown cores of older communities, and it's supposed to be called progress. One of the reasons I came here is because there's a viable downtown core still. There is something so beautiful about this community and those older buildings. And obviously the community was dedicated to preserving them, keeping them, fostering community economic development, that the downtown is going to remain vibrant and it's part of our life. And this is not representative of that.
For me, it's obscene. It's a complete lack of vision.
The whole thing is sad that, this church that's been here for so long is coming down. But what a way to end its life. Just very, very, very sad.
charges and fines, that's not even been considered at this point. Is there a possibility? Absolutely. Making sure the site is safe, making sure that there's going to be no danger to anyone. After that, then we'll review our system.
One of the reasons I came here is because there's a viable downtown core still. There is something so beautiful about this community and those older buildings. And this is not representative of that.
The church on a Sunday, how unfortunate a choice.
Sunday morning, I'm in my garden here, and I'm then hear huge, I don't even know how to describe the sound, explosion, crashing, what I thought was smoke, dust, everything just came billowing out of the windows. A lot of it was just blowing right out of the opened windows and the missing windows. You know, I've never been next to a demolition before, but I would assume that they would be so courteous as to advise the surrounding buildings that it is now going to commence. So I had absolutely no warning. My concern is how stable is the building. My kitchen door and window is probably 12 feet, I'm guessing, and on another section further on, you could almost touch the building, but I am so close to the building, and I thought, I don't think what they've done is right, and will it collapse? I guess sometime after about 10 o'clock, everything was quiet, but prior to that, just listening to the building, groans, creaking, things were falling down inside, very, very disconcerting. I think I finally fell asleep at about 2:33 in the morning. I thought, okay, I can't sleep upstairs in my bedroom that's actually very close to the church. I have to try and go to the other end of the building, and hopefully, if anything happened, my stone walls that are 21 inches thick would offer me some protection. I'm busy restoring this building. In fact, the front right now, the scaffolding is up. Our county mason is busy restoring it and is going to put it back, to quote him, the day it was built. Is going to look that beautiful. I did see the people there first thing this morning and spoke to them. They assured me that my building for now is safe.
Received a call from Public Works just before noon yesterday that the demolition was proceeding, and there was concerns that it was proceeding without having all of the permits in place. The owners and BGR had actually taken out a demolition permit with my office, which allows for the demolition of the church, but there are additional permits that are required, such as sidewalks, roads, as well as proper fencing and hoarding for the public safety. We met this morning with the contractor and both engineers. This was a fact-finding mission as to where we are with the building, the unsafe issues, the issues that we are facing to properly take this building down. The owners have been requested to meet on site as soon as they're available to determine which way they want to proceed and provide us with not only an action plan, but who and how and when. Follow the rules. That's follow the rules. Charges and fines, that's not even been considered at this point. Is there a possibility? Absolutely. Right now, that's the furthest thing from my mind. Safety is a concern, making sure the site is safe, making sure that there's going to be no danger to anyone. After that, then we'll review our system.
I have to trust now that that they have stepped into the picture, that a very reputable, well-known demolition company will come in, finish the job, which is sad, but there's nothing I can do about it. Just hope that nobody gets hurt and it's taken down safely and carefully.
Look what they done. They tore down the church on Sunday.
The motion before council wasn't, do you want to demolish or not? It was simply, let's reflect on this until the next council meeting. How hard is that to agree to?
We're standing here this morning in this beautiful sunshine waiting for the Ameliasburg Township Fair for the parade to start. We are celebrating and supporting armed forces here today and this weekend. We feel they play a very important role in this community, and we feel they need to be acknowledged.
Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Some of you may be wondering why I'm wearing this tunic that I wore to my wedding 65 years ago. The only reason I'm wearing it is I saw in the paper that anybody in uniform would get in free.
We've really emphasized the agricultural area of our ward. As far as the youth, we start right from the school children and their works, their arts, their culinary skills and baking. The old township hall is rather full of baked goods, and they have to keep me out of there because I want to sample them all, and they say that's a no-no.
Well, the feel's so broke up, I just want to go home. Clear one time, Captain.
The best thing about the fair is seeing all the people here year after year, and it's a great place to meet your neighbors and to look at all the people's artwork or the things they make, like food.
Pear?
Yeah.
Pear pie?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is good.
Very good.
I think the best thing about the Ameliasburg Fair is the cattle show.
Let me go home.
Sunday, we're starting off 8 o'clock with the horse show behind the museum. And we also have we'll be serving breakfast at the museum for those of you who get up too early to have breakfast before they come to the fair. Around 10 o'clock, the fair buildings will be opening. We have the OPP here with a rollover car. I sure hope everybody can make it out here and enjoy yourself at the 29th Ameliasburg Fair.
Cooper, go get it. Come on. Oh, you can catch that one. Let's go, come on. I decided last fall that I would like a puppy. And Cooper was born February 2nd, one of 10, 3 boys and 7 girls, and we picked him up 8 weeks later. He was sweet, very nice temperament. When we brought him home, the kids were so excited. They wrap themselves in a blanket and the dog, and they wrestle with him on the floor. And he's jumping all over the blanket and biting and just going absolutely berserk. And that is the worst thing you can ever do with a dog, because then they learn that they can bite you and they can play with you. But the kids had so much fun.
Cooper's also learned that walk time is playtime. Getting him to behave on the leash is difficult.
It's a challenge because of the jumping up and biting, because of the pulling on the leash. Oh, Cooper, look, no, leave it alone. He'll lunge at other dogs. If he passes other people, he'll jump up on them. I try to get him to heel, but it's been 15 years since I've trained a dog, and I guess I've forgotten everything. He can be a little monkey.
Despite his mischief, Leslie sees a lot of potential in Cooper.
What I would like to do is to visit seniors' homes and disabled homes, and that's through something called the Good Neighbor program. where your dog becomes a respected member of society and therefore is qualified and well behaved enough to go and visit these group homes. I think he would be very good. He's got the disposition where he's pretty laid back. It's just a matter of teaching him not to jump up on people or to be frightened by a wheelchair. No, don't. Stop it. I'm hoping to learn more so that I can teach him. These dogs are extremely smart and they pick up like that on new concepts. So I'm hoping that we will have a well-trained dog because I want a good dog.
Today, we're going to do some test requirements for the Canine Good Neighbor evaluation.
The Canine Good Neighbor evaluation is a program put together by the Canadian Kennel Club to help dog owners become interested in good dog behavior.
We're going to start off with meeting a friendly stranger.
No.
I will shake your hand, and I expect your dog will stay quietly and calmly beside you without you holding him back.
There's 2 rules in dog training. The first one is say what you mean and mean what you say. So when you tell your dog to sit, he sits the first time, not the 5th time.
What is your dog's name? Molson. Okay, Molson can't come up. So now what you want to do, rather than hold on the leash, put your hand on his collar next time. Okay?
And if he doesn't sit when you tell him the first time, then the second rule of dog training comes into play. And that is for every order there's an action, and for every action there's a consequence.
Hi, my name's Ken.
Good morning.
Your
My name is Leslie.
Leslie. Okay, we need to work with
Cooper.
Cooper kind of had a big jump up there, so bring him back.
What the dog has learned when walking with Leslie and jumping up and chewing was she stopped and played with him. And as a result, the dog is going to keep doing that.
Is this your dog, Cooper?
This is Cooper.
Can I pet Cooper?
If you want to break that habit, what you have to do is teach the dog that he doesn't get his way.
Good. Oh, nice clean ears.
You can just ignore it, because dogs in nature are lazy. They sleep 16 hours a day, and that's what we'd just as soon be doing as walking with me. So as long as he keeps jumping up and going after the leash and fighting, and I ignore it, he finally gets tired and says, I quit, I'm just going to walk. You take your dog for a walk, and if the first thing you do is pull tight on his collar, then that's the way he's going to walk with you. If you walk off with a loose leash all the time and you keep it loose and you just communicate, then the dog will listen to you. If you walk out and you want to make some corners like the test requires, a 90-degree left, a 90-degree right, and 180-degree corners, if you make your 90-degree left first and you walk in front of the dog learns that you've taken a dominant role in that walk.
When we walk off, we are going to walk to our left, to our left, to our left. And we're going to walk to our left. A little bit tighter circle when we start off. I'm just bumping into him as my leg comes forward. And what he's finding out, just from that little bit of exercise, is that my left leg is in charge. And now I'm going to let the leash be looser. And there's no pressure on him with the leash. And now he's learnt in that little cycle that my left leg is in charge. And I'm not having to use the leash at all. He's made a choice on his own. If you make the 90-degree corner to the right first, the dog wanders off by himself and says, you went your way, I'm going mine, and you've lost control of your dog. So what you want to do is you want to take advantage of the things that are presented to you that let you lead and be in charge. Tight circle to your left, make your dog listen. One more time around. This is why you don't require choke collars or pinch collars to teach your dog. Your dog has learnt that you're in charge of its territory. Look at how Caesar is settling down now. We're getting him to settle down just by walking because they're learning they can't play. What has to happen is he has to have a new learning. And he has to learn that the jumping and the biting and the chewing on the leash have a negative consequence or no positive consequence.
Coming up, Leslie and Cooper get serious about their training.
If you go into it trying to analyze what you're going to do and not thinking how the dog sees it, you'll likely fail.
Cooper, stay.
And walk out fast, 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 fast. Never take your eye off your dog and return fast.
No.
Cooper is a 6-month-old puppy who has a lot to learn about being a good neighbor.
He can be a little monkey. He'll lunge at other dogs. If he passes other people, he'll jump up on them. It's a challenge because of the jumping up and biting, because of the pulling on the leash.
He's found in the past
that when walking with her, walking is boring. And in trying to get me to stop, we went right back to the first day I came into the house and we rolled around and played. So what is the dog doing? He's just going back to what he was taught to do when he was a puppy. I'm going to jump on you because then you'll stop and play with me.
Leslie and Cooper have been training daily for the last few weeks.
He goes for a walk in the morning with my husband, just a quick one, and then I take him for about a 45-minute training walk after lunch, and then after supper he gets another 45-minute to an hour training walk.
Much better.
It's just made a huge difference. He stays with me now most of the time. He's still jumping up and biting the leash, but he's a puppy, and I'm supposed to ignore it. It's very hard to ignore when somebody's gnawing on your hands. That's not very good. And I'm supposed to ignore you, but I can't. Now stop it. He's pretty much figured it out, who the boss is. I never know when he's going to have one of his moods and jump up and bite me, but... Okay, buddy, 180. Let's go. Cooper, turn. 180. Come on. Good boy. Good boy. I think we have a very good chance of passing the test. I'm becoming more and more confident that he will. I mean, it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game, but I think we've got a pretty good chance. We've got a lot of work to do before the test.
I want everybody to take their dogs now, and this is another test for the Canine Good Neighbor. What we're going to start with is some basic obedience, some sit, stay, and walk away. In less than 3 minutes, you should be 30 feet away from your dog. Here's what the exercise is going to be. It's going to be stay, step forward 1 foot, come back, good dog, stay. There are 3 commands that mean stay. One is the vocal, the second one is the hand signal, being the flat of the hand in front. The third one is you step forward with your right foot. The only time you step off with your left foot is when you want your dog to follow you. First thing I do is I call my dog and my dog acknowledges his name. I then tell him to stay. I extend my right arm as far as I can out in front and come into his face as quickly as I possibly can without touching him. You're also teaching him at that time that you never hit him with your hand. The hand on any human is safe. And then step off with your right foot quickly and step back. Trade hands on your dog, 2 pats, good dog, and do it again 3 times.
The order is to sit. The action is the dog sits. The consequence is the dog gets praise. And the way I train, it's 2 pats on his left shoulder, good dog. Good and solid, because that's dominance.
Your dog has to learn it doesn't move when both your feet leave.
If he doesn't do it, then I give him what his mother gave him when he was a puppy. I take his collar and put a bit of pressure on the back of his neck, and I take my claws, which Mom had and flexed, and I poke him in the bum. And he automatically sits, and he says, I don't like that consequence.
No, if you want to fix it, what you're doing is you're taking him and you're pushing down. You want to fix him, take him under here, pull him up, and sit. Now, I just took dominance.
So the next time I ask him to sit, he says, I can get either this or I can get the poke in the butt. I like the pat, that's what I'm going to go for. And that's the learning curve the dog goes on.
Good dog, stay. Good boy.
Stay.
One of the Canine Good Neighbor tests is that you must be able to walk 20 feet away from your dog and return without your dog leaving that position. Every time I walk around my dog, the first time it's stay, I'm going to step out in front of my dog and walk back around my dog, come in, good dog, stay, and this time 2 paces out and back as fast as I can. Good dog, stay, and 3 paces out and back as fast as I can. This is teaching your dog that you always return. On the 4th time, come back and plant your left foot beside your dog. No more swing of the hand for stay. All you're going to do is say the word stay and walk through with your right foot. What you're doing is you're giving the word stay and showing the dog. When the right foot goes on by, it stays there.
Cooper, stay.
And walk out fast, 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 fast. Never take your eye off your dog and return fast.
No.
Okay. What happened there is Cooper said, I want to be with my mom. Where did he go? Right with her. You need to start with the basics of each foot 3 times, then the 2 feet, then the circle, and then 1 pace, 2 pace, till he doesn't move. And you've got to make it really fast, okay? So that's your homework.
Both dog and handler still have a long way to go, but Leslie's optimistic.
It went pretty good. He was a bit of a brat, but he's only 6 months old, so he's a puppy. But we learned a lot, and I know what I have to do my homework. Stay. We're definitely going to work on the heeling, doing that box step that Ken was talking about. and the sit stay as usual. This is our 8th lesson. Come here, Cooper. It's just amazing, you know, how he's been from 4 months up until now. He's an entirely different dog, and for the better.
If you approach the test from the perspective of how the dog will understand what the requirements are, you will pass. If you go into it thinking like a human and trying to analyze what you're going to do and not thinking how the dog sees it, you'll likely fail.
It's the day of the big test and Cooper's chance to prove himself a good neighbor. But despite all their daily practice, Cooper and Leslie still don't always work as a team.
I hope you noticed this morning that he had a textbook walk. Oh, he was right beside me the whole way. Just beautiful. And he gets here and... Oh well.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Canine Good Neighbor Evaluation. Test number 1 is accepting a friendly stranger. Hi, my name's Ken.
Hi, Ken. I'm Diane.
Diane, is this your dog?
Yes, it is.
What's your dog's name?
His name's Angus.
And what's your dog's name?
Malachi.
Malachi. I'll be back to see Malachi in a minute. This still Cooper?
Last time I checked, yeah.
Can I pet Cooper?
Yes, you may.
Cooper, how are you? Oh, that's a good dog. Yes, that's it. That was well done. Out for a walk is the next test. I will walk the course for you so you know where you have to go. Lots of space, take your time, just walk casually. Just come out to this pylon, make a left turn, 180-degree turn at that one, and then back down to this one for a right turn, please.
Cooper did quite well for his age. The handler had a few problems in controlling him. Can we do that one more time, please? But that was mostly handler error, not dog error, because once the dog was shown what to do, the dog did it extremely well. And shake hands. That's the problem that most people have with their dogs, is their dogs will learn very quickly to do it the correct way, but it's the handler that makes the small error, like thinking they have to hang on when they don't. And so one of the reasons I had Cooper do a couple of the tests twice was because I wanted the handler to let go of the leash on Cooper and let him show that he could do it himself. And he did.
That's the behavior we expect to see. Come back in and do it again, please.
I was so frustrated. And the dog feels that, and they just pick up on it right away, so they're going to act up. So you just have to remember to stay calm.
That's much better. I was really quite pleased. I was pleased with all the dogs, as a matter of fact.
Cooper, we had a couple of issues we had to retry again. I want you to practice on not holding so tight on the leash. When the leash was lagging and dragging behind your dog, he walked perfectly with you all the time. I know he can do it all the time. You did it well enough to get a pass, so congratulations.
He's a good boy. It went great. He passed. I can hardly believe it. It got a little dicey there at one point, but he passed us. I think it was kind of a gimme, but thanks, Ken.
And return.
I think the program is fantastic because it gives owners an opportunity to find out what their dogs can really do when they challenge them.
Yes, you do.